Genetic mutations, we've all heard the term, but what does it really mean? You're going to hear a lot about it because it's one of the scientific trends of this year. And here to clue us in about a recent study and the research being done is one of the lead researchers, Dr. Edward Gins. Welcome, how are you?
Very well, thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here with you.
It's my pleasure. Let's get right to it because this is, to me, this is incredibly exciting. For years, researchers, you included, have looked to study mutations that are causing disease. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But some things happen when Dr. Egeland, your colleague, went to study the Amish in Pennsylvania. What happened?
There were individuals that were protected from developing bipolar disorder.
Right, and what I need to say is that there's a large incidence of bipolar disorder among the Amish. So, so when Dr. Egeland went to study that and to look at it, the fact that this dwarf, is it a dwarf mutation?
Yes, when Janice Egeland went into the Amish community 50 years ago for her PhD thesis
right, so
work.
She went to study it,
yes,
and what did she find?
She found in the Amish families that she visited that there was a genetic dwarfism. And
right.
10 years later, even more exciting, when she began her Amish study of bipolar disorder and affective disorder, she found that there was also families where there were individuals in the same family that either had bipolar disorder or the genetic dwarfism.
So what I'm gleaning from the research, and you and I talked before, is that this gene, this genetic mutation for dwarfism actually blocked in some way the gene or whatever for bipolar disorder, right? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and so what you were saying before is that, again, that this could lead to what? This could lead to so much, but what could it do?
Well, this breakthrough of identifying that the genetic dwarfism was blocking bipolar disorder led us to identify the DNA change that was actually responsible for blocking bipolar disorder through its disruption of a genetic pathway called sonic hedgehog signaling.
Okay, so what happens, because I'll never remember that name, but what happens then is because it's able to block it, we're now looking at the ability of mutations in general to block perhaps other kinds of disease. It's like our whole direction has shifted in terms of looking towards, okay, well now what can we do? What kind of mutations can prevent, I think, right? Prevent illness. And what's happening since that study?
You know, it's a revolutionary approach that instead of looking, as you say, for the common at-risk changes in DNA, we've focused on looking for those DNA changes that prevent illness. And our feeling is that if a DNA change can affect blocking or prevention of illness, that we can also find drugs that can have the same effect.
So imagine if not just bipolar or mood disorder, but imagine if we're looking for a drug that blocks diabetes or something else, and if we were able to find medication, is it possible, Dr. Gins, that we could actually prevent disease?
I think down the line that's one of our objectives, and we all know people, for instance, with the psychiatric disorders where treatments do some to help, but there are still breakthrough symptoms. And our hope is that as we cover more of the chemical pathways using the protective gene approach, that we can get better answers to understand better what is going on, and also for development of new treatments.
New treatments, new drugs, and looking, not just for bipolar and the other mood disorders, but for other diseases that we're still trying to find solutions for. And this can be a way to do it. And I just think that it's so very incredible. And you know, before this, I I wasn't thinking a lot in terms of mutations, but now your study, and it's, you know, you have a team of researchers. What you've all done is shifted that emphasis to wellness and to looking for the protective genes.
Right, we think that looking at what we term as strategy genetic wellness rather than risk genes will complement the research that's currently going on. And as we hope, we can identify new drugs that also have the same effects as these protective genes.
And I think that is going to be marvelous. Keep us tuned. Thank you so much, Dr. Jins. Power Your Life will be right back, and ahead, find out what's hot for next week. We're back, and just in time to turn to our parenting expert, Mama Deb, with some great advice that can help make talking to your tween a little bit easier.
Hey folks, dear Mama Deb here with some great news for parents of tweens. Yeah, what's so great about this? Here's what we're gonna trick them into talking. Well, maybe not quite talking, but writing. Yeah, right, you're thinking. Here's how. Schedule some cocoa time with them and ask them what might be an easy subject to write about. Their favorite age, their favorite birthday, vacation, holiday, whatever. And then why? And go write about that. Then, about a day or so, schedule another round 2 of cocoa time and get together and swap what each other wrote. Go your separate ways, read them, and then in another day or so, round 3, cocoa time. This is where the golden nuggets come in. You're going to talk about what you read about each other. And we do teach best by example, so give them something good. And your kid's going to want to talk about that first concert mom went to when she was 16. You see, this is opening up the lines of communication. And the first time you do this might be a little hesitation there. But the next time it'll get a little easier, and the next time, and the next time, and that ball is rolling and the communication lines are wide open. So go get that ball rolling. I'll talk to you soon.
Now that we're into 2015, it's time to take responsibility for the fallout from your negative emotions like anger and envy. Also, watch the way you talk about you to others and to your inner mind. Do you know that your thoughts can turn into truths? Get off the automatic wheel of self-criticism and instead go for lots of self-praise. It can do wonders for your view of yourself. It can build your self-esteem, and yes, it can even turn you into a believer of your worth. There's no time like the present to get started to toot your horn about your own magnificence. Thanks for being with us today. Next week, author Ashley Warner joins us to discuss why the accusers in the Bill Cosby alleged rape case have waited so long to speak out. That and more when we see you next time.